Hi, this is Sweet June 2010. How's everybody doing today? I want to talk about this is on the heels of when I was talking about real men do not opt out of fatherhood. This is kind of on the heels of that video. Um, I was watching Dr. Phil this morning. I was watching an old episode of Dr. Phil this morning, and he had this mother on there that gave full custody of her children, her two daughters, to her husband. And she went off. I guess she went to live in another country for a short period of time, and she went off to write a book. And that was kind of like the topic of his show. And she was highly criticized because people were saying, "Well, how can she do that?" And I was like, well, that's interesting, because he made the comment, people she was getting a lot of criticism and scrutiny because she had gave full custody of her daughters to her husband because she said she wanted to go out, she wanted to travel, she wanted to write a book, and she got a lot of criticism for that. And Dr. Phil said towards the end of the show, if this was a man, would we be having this show? Would we be talking about this? Which made me think, yeah, there is a double standard. There is a double standard. When a woman does, I say a woman, in most cases, does not opt out of motherhood, but in rare cases where women do opt out of motherhood and they become the non-custodial parent. Some cases, in her case, she wanted to travel, write a book. She got highly criticized for doing that. How could you do that? How could you leave your daughters? What kind of mother are you? But in some cases, women are on drugs. And in some cases, women are just deadbeat moms. Now, when a woman walks away from her children, and whatever case it is, whether it be for selfish reasons to go off and just not have the responsibility of raising kids, or being on drugs, or some women leave their children for a man, believe it or not. For whatever reason, the woman decides that she wants to walk away from her responsibility as a mother. Well, she gets called every dirty, filthy, low-down name in the book. A woman is highly, highly scrutinized from walking away from her children. If a woman walks away from her responsibilities as a mother, she's highly scrutinized. She's highly criticized. I mean, she's called every filthy, low-down name people can think of. And how could you do that? How could you walk away from your kids? How could you walk away from your children? Simply because of the fact that she gave birth to the children. A woman is highly scrutinized from walking away from her children. Now, on the other hand, when a man walks away from the responsibilities of helping to raise the children, he's the parent as well. Children have two parents. They have a mother and a father. And he's the parent as well. Well, let me tell you what happens. The woman gets blamed in most cases for the man being absent, being an absentee parent. The woman is the one that gets blamed for it. The common, just on this last video that I did, the last two videos I did, I got the comment, well, you must have picked the wrong man to be the father of your child. You picked him. And if I've heard that once, I've heard it 1,001 times. I've heard it so many times. You must have picked the wrong man to be the father of your child. So in other words, it's all the woman's fault if the child is absent and the father is absent in the child's life. Then the woman gets 100% blame for that father not being in the child's life. And in most cases, I made the statement that I I have talked in my other video that I've talked to a few men and told them about the situation with my son's father, and they were saying that he wasn't a man. In some cases, people say that, but the percentage of people that have said that he wasn't a man and shame on him for walking away versus the percentage of people that try to say things to justify it, like, well, you picked him, that's the kind of man you picked, the father of your child, and well, you must have did something to run him off. The percentage is a lot higher of those people that pretty much blame me for him being absent in my son's life and dissolved him from responsibility 100%. That percentage is higher. It's a small percentage of the people that say, well, he's not being a man, he shouldn't, shame on him for walking away. That percentage is very low. If when the man walks away, then the woman gets the blame. Well, you must have did something to run him off, or, well, that's who you picked. But where is his responsibility? See, he's the parent of the child too. See, he's the father, he's the parent. Why is it that a woman, I said, that's a good question. I said, why is it when a woman walks away, she gets called every name in the book, she gets all kind of scrutiny and criticism and everything when a woman walks away, but then when a man walks away, in most cases people want to make 50 million excuses for him. They're pretty much, in most cases, the woman gets blamed. The woman gets blamed for him not being there for the child. Well, that's who you pick. If I've heard that once, I've heard it thousands of times. Well, that's who you pick, as if to justify his reason for walking away and not owning up to his responsibility as a father, as if that's some kind of a justification. It's all my fault because I picked him. Well, that's I'm sorry, but that doesn't justify him walking away. Now, if I walked away, on the other hand, if I walked away and he was raising my son, let's say the tables were turned and he was raising my son and I was the one that walked away, then he would be getting the pat on the back. And you guys know that I'm telling the truth. He would be getting a pat on the back. It would be okay for him to take me to court to sue me for child support. Guys would be cheering him on and giving him a big pat on the back. See, it's okay to take a woman to court and sue her for child support, but then if a woman takes a man to court and sue him for child support, then there's all of a sudden a big problem with it. Men have a big problem with a woman taking a man to court for child support, but I bet you they don't have no problem with a man taking a woman to court for child support. If the tables were turned and I was the parent, I was the absent parent, and I was the one that walked away, and he was the one that was raising my son, then he would be getting a pat on the back, and I would be getting called every name in the book. I would be getting called, oh, how you're horrible, she's horrible, she's a horrible mother, she has no maternal instincts. What kind of woman walks away from her own child? I would be getting called and 9 times out of 10, I would be getting called every name in the book. I would be heavily criticized and scrutinized for walking away from my son. But when the man does it, see, nobody's, if he was the one that was raising my son and I was the absent parent, I bet you 9 times out of 10, nobody would tell him, well, that's the woman you picked to be the mother of your child. You picked the wrong woman to be the mother of your child. See, I bet you 9 times out of 10, nobody would tell him that. He would be getting a pat on the back. See? Why is that? And there are single fathers out there. I don't know what the percentage is, but there are single fathers out there that are raising children and the mother walked away. Or the mother could have been on drugs or whatever the situation was. He gets a big pat on the back. See, he gets a big pat on the back and he gets all this praise. See, he gets all this praise and he gets a big pat on the back by society, and he gets a big pat on the back from men and everybody else, and even women. But see, if a woman walks away, it's a whole different situation. If a man is on drugs, on crack, and he walks away from his children, well, that's who you picked. All of a sudden, it's all the woman's fault. But if a woman is on drugs, on crack, and she walks away, or she a crackhead, and she's a rotten mother, and she's this, and she's that, every name in the book but the child of God. It is a double standard, and it's a horrible double standard, because the child needs both parents. The child needs the mother, and he needs the father. Or she needs the child needs the mother and the father. So why is it justified when a man walks away and the woman is raising the children? Whereas if a woman walks away and the man is raising the children, then he gets a big pat on the back and he doesn't get blamed for her walking away. I bet you he doesn't get criticized. And let's say that he had children by this woman and he didn't marry her. I bet you 9 times out of 10, he's not going to get criticized for having children out of wedlock. Is anybody going to criticize him for having children out of wedlock and not marrying that woman? 9 times out of 10, no, they're not. But us women, we get criticized for having the children by the man and not being married. We get criticized for the man walking away. Well, we must have did something to run him away. Or it's our fault because we picked the wrong guy. But I bet you if his father was raising him and I was the one who walked away, you would never tell him that. You would never tell him that, well, that's the woman you picked as the mother of your children. You picked the wrong woman. And you would never blame him for me walking away. But why is it that I get blamed for him walking away? As if to justify, there is no justification for a parent, whether it's a mother or a father. There is no justification for a parent walking away from their child. I don't care if it's a mother or a father. It makes no difference. There is no justification. But there is a double standard. And it don't make no sense. It shouldn't be no double standard. See, why do people make excuses for men? I bet you if my son's father was raising him and I walked away and he took me to court for child support, you guys would be cheering him on. You would be cheering him on, and you know you would. See, it would be okay for him to take me to court to sue me for child support. That would be just fine. But you guys have a problem with me taking him to court. For a woman taking a man to court for child support, you guys have a big problem with it. But I bet you don't have a problem with a man taking a woman to court for child support. Why is that? The child needs both parents. It ain't no excuse for neither parent to walk away, and there's no justification. And the other parent should not be blamed for the other parent not being there. If you wouldn't blame the man for the woman walking out, why would you blame the woman for the man walking out? See, it's sexist. It's a sexist double standard. I mean, I watched that show and I said, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do a video talking about that. And Dr. Phil said at the end of that show, he said, I bet you if this was a man sitting here, we wouldn't even be having this show right now. We wouldn't even be having this discussion. I said, exactly. He said it right there on the show. If this was a man sitting here, we wouldn't even be discussing this. We wouldn't even be talking about this right now. There is a double standard, and it's a shame. It don't make no sense. You know, society should not make excuses for men walking out. What kind of world and what kind of society makes excuses for men walking away? There is no excuse and there is no justification for a man to walk away. Unless that woman is purposely keeping that child from that man, and that man has a hard time being in that child's life. That's understandable. But for a man to just walk away from his child, there is no excuse for it, and there is no justification. Now let me know in the comment section what you think. And I just wanted to give you guys something to marinate on. Why is it such a big double standard? The child needs both parents. Okay, let me know in the comment section how you feel. Got some more interesting video topics coming up. God bless. Peace and love. This is Sweet June 2010.